Hignet's corner, beyond Bent. Janssen! And Blackburn Rovers are 18 minutes away from a Premiership return.
As far as Stuart, just outside the penalty area, clips it central for David Dunn. David Dunn equalises! It just had to be. Dax corner and it goes. Glance towards goal! And Rovers have taken the lead! And Charlie Mulgrew has scored his 14th of the season. It may well be the goal that sends Rovers back into the Championship.
Good afternoon, Rovers fans, and welcome to our very strange Sunday pre-match live stream as we preview the big game, Middlesbrough versus Blackburn Rovers this afternoon. Don't know about you all, but it severely messed up my body clock. I thought yesterday was Friday. I think today is Saturday. And then obviously I'm going to get the shock to the system when, no, it's not Sunday tomorrow. I'm actually at work. So, yeah, we're all out of kilter. It's a Sunday game, but we will do our usual thing of previewing the match before we sit down and watch it. And then, yes, of course, we'll be back post-match to dissect, hopefully, a Rovers victory. But certainly it is going to be a tough game today. As you can see, we're not an awesome foursome today. We are a fantastic trio, just like Harvey Elliott, Ben Brereton, and Adam Armstrong. We've got Alex Lomax back with us. How are you doing today, Alex?
I'm good, Ryan. You nearly missed out Adam Armstrong then and put Sam Gallagher in, didn't you?
Yeah, I don't mind Gallagher, but no, I did include Armstrong, rightfully so. And Luke, how are you today?
Yeah, very well. Cheers. I feel like an attacking threat in front of a double pivot here. So
you are.
Let's see what's going on. No, it's like you say, it's really thrown the body clock, hasn't it? It certainly didn't feel like a Saturday yesterday with the weird 3 o'clock regime that was going on. Very little football, but let's see what we can make a Sunday of.
And Stephen Mason probably thinking, like all of us, I was thinking the game was last night. So, no, it's today, Stephen. We'll get the team news in about 40 minutes' time or so, and then we can sit down and watch it at 3 p.m. And hello to all of you that have commented so far. Lots of our regular viewers in there, which is great to see. So thank you for joining us again, as ever. If you are new to the channel and you've not watched us before, we are on YouTube. It's Rovers Chat. Please hit that subscribe button as we get towards 1,000 followers. And if you're not following us on Twitter, we are Rovers_chat on Twitter. But before we make a start, just a reminder to everybody that we are sponsored by 6yardsout.com.
The Rovers Chat YouTube channel is proudly sponsored by 6yardsout.com. They've got retro football from every era with mugs, phone cases and much more. They also have plenty of Rovers goods, including apparel with the famous 94-95 season and this season's kit. Check them out using the link in the description below.
Thank you to 6yardsout.com for their sponsorship. I was just chuckling at Ollie James's comment here because, Ollie, what you should know is I'm running the stream today and tackling all the comments and various things, which is just a recipe for disaster. So hosting and doing all this with my multitasking skills is it's just... yeah, it might not work. So apologies if it doesn't flow as smoothly as it usually does with Joe. So no, I'm sad that Joe isn't here. And yeah, tongue in cheek, obviously. And we weren't 10 minutes fashionably late, which sometimes we are. So apologies for that. So yeah, please do interact with us throughout the show and we will pick up your comments and it will help us out as well with further questions and thoughts that we might not have thought about today. So do hit them into that comments box. So Luke, I am going to start with you, which is our first order of business today, which is a little bit about Rovers' recent form. You know, it doesn't take a genius to work out that we're not in the best of form at the moment. You know, a lot of our fans are unhappy and we just don't seem to be playing, you know, as well as we were possibly in the early season form. Got a graphic here which brings up the last 8 games of sides in the top 12. And you can see that Rovers there are a joint bottom with Stoke with just 8 points from the last 8 games, which isn't nice to see. And today's host, Middlesbrough, who we will talk about shortly, you know, 15 points from their last 8. So, Luke, what do you think has happened just in these last 8 games or so? And just with this, you know, pressure that Mowbray's starting to come under, what are you seeing that's different about this Rovers side now?
Like you said, it is the last 8 games where it seems to have gone wrong. Actually, I think that if you look back at the last 8 games, the first of the last 8, let's say, was the Bristol City game. When, to be fair, we narrowly lost that. We were probably the better side, and same with the following game against Norwich. Again, we were probably the better side in that game, and would be hard pushed to find anyone that would say we deserved to lose them games. Maybe not particularly deserved to win, but certainly didn't deserve to lose them. If you go as far back as perhaps when we last played Borough, it's been in the chat today. Actually, it was brought up by one of our regulars in the chat, Glenn, on the stream. Sorry, and when you look back at all the games since the last game, like I say, against Borough, where we drew that game. And unfortunately, we were missing Adam Armstrong. We had Pers in goal, so we weren't a full strength side, but we did get a draw from that. We've actually only lost 4 games, so then 4 games have actually come in this sort of group of 8 that we're looking at now. What's particularly gone wrong? It's a strange one because we've actually had players coming back as well in the Dacks and the Travises, but it's perhaps that Tony's trying to fit them in and do too much too soon. We've got a lot of talent, and we play a particular way, and Tony Mowbray's very proud of how we play and proud of being a footballing man and a man that wants to play football, and it's something that he even tried to do in our League One season. Didn't particularly work, but in that season we had a plan B. We had Danny Graham. And he seems to have put all his eggs in one basket this year by getting rid of Graham. And when the time's now come to need a plan B, particularly in recent games with the home form, with the pitch, Route 1 seems a really good option in some of them games. And we just don't have it. Sam Gallagher's not that player. Tony seems to see him as a winger, out on the wing quite a lot. Can't really hold the ball up as such. It's certainly not Danny Graham. Danny Graham is probably one of the best in the business at that. And, Tony Mowbray's openly come out and said similar things. So it's a strange one that he did get rid of Graham now that we haven't got this plan B. But yeah, I think it is just, it happens. It happens around Christmas. It always happens around Christmas for Rovers. Quite a big run of games, high intensity, not really a great turnaround of them games, and it's just all coming, in a group of like I said, the last 8, and we just not picked up points, and we haven't got the plan B to start picking them points up. So today is a massive game.
Yeah, it is. And Alex, some of the things that Luke was talking about there, the plan B and doing things differently to get the result. If I think about my emotions and feelings for Rovers this season, early on in the season, when you had like the 4-0s and the 5-0s, when we lost those games to the likes of Watford and Bournemouth, and maybe to a little lesser degree Bristol City, I still took heart from those performances because we had the ball, we were playing nicely, we were making chances, and you can possibly say we were unlucky in defeat. The last 8, it's just felt a bit different. It's like we've not got the same energy levels, we've not got the same fluidity, we aren't as easy on the eye as we were. And certainly when we lose that first goal, like is coming into the comments, and as Luke mentioned there, it's just ominous as a fan, isn't it? That if we go 1-0 down, you probably know we're going to lose the game. So have you sensed that drop in energy and that drop in style, that kind of oomph that we had early on in the season? What have you seen?
I absolutely agree with that. And I think that's probably why you're seeing a lot of the frustrations from the fans kind of rearing their head now. And I think the reason is, and I'm one of these fans, I've always been teetering on the edge really with Mowbray of, do we give him more time to allow him to continue his project? And what I've been told this season is that because we're playing a better brand of football, you can be a bit more patient with it, give him this season, see how we go on. I think what you've seen in the last 8 games is a decline in that. I think what fans can't forgive is bad football and losing football. I think we can all forgive bad football and winning football. Many managers have delivered that, and Mowbray himself delivered that in League One. I don't think we can say it was great football to watch, but he delivered the results, and that's why he got the backing from the fans. I think this season you've seen, as the performances and the results have kind of waned over the Christmas period, is that support for the manager also kind of reducing, and fizzling out. I think that's kind of led to a bit of desperation, I would say, from the manager, a bit of lack of confidence, I think is fair to say. I think what you've seen from the manager really is an over-eagerness to kind of throw everything out of the window. And that's what we saw last Saturday. You know, we've not been playing that well. And what we saw was a manager panicking and going back to the 4-2-3-1 formation to suit an out-of-form Bradley Dack. And that just doesn't fit with the rest of this season. And to me, it means that the plan that we've all kind of bought into as a fan base either isn't or is no longer being followed by the manager, which is a concern, or it's kind of been thrown out the window. So that these are big worries. I think other things that you have to mention are, you know, Scott Wharton went down injured at the Brentford game and then the Bristol game on the following midweek. You know, we had a half-fit Ayala and Derek Williams. And ever since then, it's really been, you know, one defensive injury after another. That doesn't help either. You can't discount that. And what we've started to do as well is we've started to concede bad goals from set pieces. We've been through a period under Mowbray where we barely conceded from a corner. I mean, there was a time where you said, when was the last time we conceded from a corner? I couldn't give you a corner that we conceded from, but it seems like it's every other game now. We're conceding goals from set pieces. We're just being sloppy in our possession, and all of those things are kind of culminating at the minute. And I think it's ultimately down to a lack of confidence. I think there's only so long you can keep repeating to the players, carry on with this performance level, the results will improve. I think there's only so many times you can say that to a group of players before the confidence saps. And I think that's what we've seen recently.
Yeah, and the comments are backing up what both of you have said there. So Michael, Mowbray's rarely had a plan B. Stephen on the other side lamented that from his time at Middlesbrough. Yeah, Michael, I know you watched the show, and when I spoke to Stephen, the Middlesbrough fan yesterday, there are some echoes in Mowbray's time actually at Middlesbrough and the end of his time there and what's going on at Rovers now. So I really do hope Mowbray can turn that around and we do find that plan B and do get that energy back. Matthew Shaw, selection key today. Absolutely. We'll come on to that, Matthew, in a moment with this Middlesbrough side who are going to be playing today, who are going to be a tough nut to crack. Callum, I think fans can take unlucky results, entertaining losses. What cannot be accepted is boring, dull losses, which have become the norm. Yeah, that is certainly associated with the last 8 games. It has been a bit more boring as a fan. It has become a bit more frustrating and certainly pulls apart from those Bournemouth and Watford games, for example, which, you know, were still enjoyable to watch even in defeat. And then Leap Year Man picking up on, you know, lack of energy is clear. The style that Tony Mowbray is trying to implement requires plenty of energy, hence our decline. And just to back up at that as well, Leap Year Man came in again. Can the lack of energy... Oh, there we go. I will click on the right comment when it lets me. There we go. Can the lack of energy be put down to being unable to rotate due to injuries in first half of the season? Yeah, that could be a fair one, Leap Year, because... you know, I think we were begging for the return of Travis in particular to provide some energy into that midfield. And he's not done that yet, has he? And we're still relying on those players that have played half the season to still be picking up the mantle.
I think the injury is a fair point as well. Sorry, just to dive in there, just with what Alex said, a very fair point, because I know obviously we didn't play the Swansea game the other day, but I did a bit of background into that ahead of the game when it was planned to go ahead. And you look at Swansea's team, for example. Obviously, they're up there challenging at the moment, and quite a consistent back 4, back 5 over the last however many games I was going back. Same with Borough, a consistent pairing at the very least. And you look at all these teams that are above us in the league, and consistency of a back 4 and reliability of a defence has been crucial, and we just haven't had that this season, have we? Particularly, in the defensive areas, and it is a shame. But like you said, there is other things, but it's worth speaking about that the defence has been a real issue.
Absolutely. Daniel Davis has just asked a really interesting question here, which we'll just get an instant reaction on before we move on to Middlesbrough. So, rumoured there was a bid for Gallagher, no truth in the end. If there was a bid of, say, 1 or 2 million, would you take it? My instant reaction at this moment in time, Daniel, is no, because we don't know what's going to happen with Adam Armstrong. So we can't be selling 2 strikers in a January transfer window. That's suicide. But if we get some certainty on what's going on with Armstrong and we've possibly bought in a replacement, etc., perhaps. But I wouldn't do it now. Luke, Alex, I'll start with you, Alex.
Will the club ever accept a bid of that size? No, because it would mean the club was admitting that it made a mistake on Gallagher. So it will never do that. That's the realistic answer. Would I accept it? Probably. I would rather sell Gallagher than Armstrong, in this position, and it would probably give us a bit of leeway to maybe bring in that left back that we've been after. So it would probably allow us to maybe deal with some of the financial issues at the club, and then also on top of that, maybe look to next season how we're going to recruit. So yeah, I probably would accept, if I'm being honest with you.
Luke?
Echoing pretty much what Alex said there. I think if we, and you as well, Ryan, if we were to absolutely keep hold of Armstrong, and that put us in a better bargaining position to perhaps look at Armstrong's contract and look at other contracts that are upcoming and have that money in the bank then to even play with a bid for Harry Pickering, and exactly what Daniel Davis has said there. If we can sort that pitch out, if that money gives us the ability then to kick on for the second half of the season and play this fluid brand of football, which we absolutely can't play on the pitch that we've got, there's no doubt about that, then, it'd be really money well taken, regardless of losing a bit of cash on the original purchase of Gallagher.
That's it. Good question, that, Daniel. Really good. And I like questions like that, because that's what you have to do as a club like us with minimum cash flow at the moment. You have to sell someone that you might not have been thinking about to do things that you want to do. So good question. So we're going to move our focus then on to Middlesbrough. We've got a couple of things just to show first and foremost. They are going to be a very tough nut to crack today. I'll make sure I get the right overlay on. There we go. Middlesbrough at home are going to be a tough nut. So they've played 11 games at home this season, 7 wins, 2 draws, 2 defeats, and then just some other statistics that back up their season today. So points per game at home, 2.09. That puts them 3rd in the division. Points gained overall, 6th in the division. So clearly, they're going to be a real tough proposition today. Alex, what sort of game are you expecting for Rovers today? We're going to do well to break them down today, aren't we?
I'm expecting a really tough game today. Mainly off the back of our performances. I think if we were playing well going into today's game, I wouldn't be fearful of any game in this division. I think each game is so open. If you take your chance when it comes, you can often win the game. But it's the way that Rovers have been playing recently. I think the performance last Saturday was so bad. I mean, I've never seen us play as bad as that, really. It was abject for 70 minutes. Really quite abject. And if we play like that today, I do think we'll be on the wrong end of a result. Having said that, a week is a long time in this division, and you can turn up the following week and put in a completely different performance. If we do in that first goal, which we've talked about so much, then there's every chance we go and win the game. But you look at those stats, and what I would say is it takes a lot for fans to be snobbish about Neil Warnock. I just really don't understand it. We know exactly what he does. We know exactly how he sets his teams up. He's got a track record of promotions from the division. I don't know why fans are so snobbish about it, really. Middlesbrough finished 17th last season. Didn't barely spend any money this summer. And they're now 6 points ahead of us. And if they win today, they'll be 9 points ahead of us with the same number of games played. So, and that's supposedly playing a disgusting brand of football. So, I think there's more than what meets the eye with Middlesbrough. I really do. And I think looking at the goal scoring stats, at least from my glance at them, it didn't seem like they were too disappointing from Middlesbrough's point of view either. So you can't claim that they've been, just a horrendous side to watch. So yeah, it will be a tough game today. God help us if we concede the first goal as we have done. What feels like every game for the past 3 months. We need that first goal, and we need it in the first 20 minutes.
I'm just chuckling. Callum Robinson's on fire with his comments today. This one has to get an airing. It's like going on holiday to Margate. No one looks forward to it, and it never ends well. So, Callum, you are in line for comment of the afternoon with that one. That's made me chuckle. Luke, the other standout stats on this table, goals conceded. That's joint best actually in the division. They've conceded the joint least goals at home. And look at the possession. 22nd out of the team. So they're having not too much possession at home. They're not conceding many goals at home. And look at the points that they're gaming at home. This has got all the hallmarks of playing into Rovers' Achilles heel, hasn't it? That they're going to let us have the ball. They're going to stay tight. They're going to stay compact, aren't they?
Yeah, it's everything that Joe's gone over with his, fantastic analytics page over previous weeks and months. When we have, the lion's share of possession, ultimately we sometimes come a cropper. Like Alex said with Warnock, I mean, he gets his nickname, doesn't he, for a particular reason? Yes, he's a character, but he's also a very difficult manager to play against, and I think that's why a lot of people, don't particularly like Warnock. I mean, we were lining up Warnock, wasn't we, when we in the end got Mowbray, and lo and behold, the rest is history. We bounced back, and we're now a championship side, but we're in this position perhaps. But going back to how difficult they are to play, the goals conceded is phenomenal. You break football down, and it's really quite simple. You don't concede goals, you don't lose games, and that's what he's created this at Middlesbrough now. And the Riverside's a difficult place to go now. Like you're saying, you're talking to Stephen last night, and in the past the home form hasn't been as impeccable. They've had issues at home, and he's absolutely sorted that out now. To only concede 5 goals in a season is a phenomenal effort, and one of the defeats actually come in the last home game. That was against Birmingham, and then the other defeat was a 1-0 home defeat to Norwich, who Norwich are absolutely up there and they're a good side. They've beat Swansea 2-1, so that were another goal that was conceded. So really, like you said, they don't concede a lot of goals. It's very narrow, and they're difficult to beat. You go back to when Rovers actually last won at the Riverside, and this is quite some stacks. We haven't beat Middlesbrough at the Riverside since 2007, and no other than Santa Cruz and Matt Derbyshire scored in them games in that game. Sorry. So it's going on. Well, it's 13 and a half years ago now. So that is quite phenomenal. And in that time, we've actually had some difficult games against Middlesbrough home and away. We've only won 3, they've won 3, and there's been 10 draws. So there's no doubt it's going to be a difficult game, not least because it's Middlesbrough, not least because it's at the Riverside. And on top of that, it's a Neil Warnock side, and they're always difficult to beat. So no doubt in this is going to be a really, really tough game.
Well, with what you said there about our record at the Riverside, I was quite pessimistic before going to St Andrews, actually, for that Birmingham game, because we had equally a shocking record at St Andrews. That was 1 win in 14, and we went there and won. So maybe we can do it today. Who knows? Alex, the other thing we're going to bring up, and just a warning to everybody, this is where the formatting will go out the window with my multitasking, but we brought up, we want to bring up the Middlesbrough side. There we go. I mean, that when I've done on the other side this season and fans are giving me their, predicted 11s and things like that, this one just looks like such a solid championship 11, and with the wing-back formations as well. I'm struggling to see some weaknesses there today, but, what do you think when you see that side and some of the players on it as well? It's just striking me as that is going to be a tough nut to crack today, isn't it?
The name that sticks out to me straight off the bat is Morsi in the middle of the pitch. A constant thorn in our side every time we've played a team with him in it. He always seems to win the physical battle in the middle of the pitch. He has history with a lot of our players from the Wigan side. of League One. And I think he, more than any player that I look at on that pitch there, probably sums up the style of Neil Warnock. It's and to an extent Paul Cook, the manager he previously played under. It's attritional, but it gets the job done, and it's got more points than what we've got this season. So you can't stick your nose up at it at all. On other players you see in there, Assombalonga, of late, maybe not produced the goals that he has done in the past. But you always feel like if he stays injury free for a period of time and goes on a bit of a run, that he could certainly be one of the hottest players in the division for goals. Bettinelli they brought in from Fulham, I think. He's been with the England squad before. So yeah, they've got many quality players there, and it's certainly going to be a tough game if that predicted lineup is bears out in the starting 11, I would say.
Absolutely. So this is a neat little segue again into our predicted 11s. There we go. I've got the format in right. So we're going to start with me. We'll go to you, Alex, and then Luke will finish with you. So gone with Mowbray's 4-3-3, which is what we're expecting. And the guy I want to talk about today is Bradley Johnson. So I really weighed it up in my head whether to go with Lewis Travis or to go with Bradley Johnson. I'm going to let Luke talk about Jacob Davenport, and we've got a little bit of a focus on him as well. I certainly want Davenport playing today, but with those players that you just said there, Alex, and with how this game's going to go and how attritional it's going to be, I want Bradley Johnson in the side today just to add a bit of steel, a bit of fight, a bit of aerial ability. And if Travis isn't 100% fit, well, he's going to get found out today in a midfield that's got Morsey, Saville, and Johnny Howson. So Bradley Johnson is who I prefer there, just to provide some spine and some steel into our central midfield area. Alex, going to come on to your side if we can. You've gone slightly differently. So talk to us about Stuart Downing in your side.
The reason I picked Downing is very simple. I think he's got a point to prove against Middlesbrough. I think, if you don't have motivation against a team that released you 18 months ago, then I don't know why he's still playing football. And if Downing isn't up for today's game, then I don't know which game he'll be up for. I think the most important thing for me today, looking at my lineup, is for the manager to go back to what we've previously done. Go back to that 4-3-3 formation. The most worrying thing for me about last Saturday was just the way he just discarded all of the good work that we've done in the past 6 months. So let's get back to what we've been good at this season, which is, fast, brave, counter-attacking football, showing our quality. And I think looking at my midfield, I think I picked the midfield that I think is best able to do that. So you've got Downing to pick out those passes, you've got Rothwell to make the runs, and you've got Davenport to sit there as a bit of a more defensively minded player. And I think let's get back to what we were good at. Let's look back at the games where we've been successful this season. It's when we've got that balance right in midfield, and I think those three give us the best chance of doing that.
And Rovers fans watching in, you've seen mine and Alex's side, and you'll see Luke's in a moment. Is there anyone that you would have in today? So, for example, I didn't include Bradley Dack, and neither's Alex. And we've both not gone for Lewis Travis either. So let us know who you would have in the side today and how you think Mowbray's going to go. Michael is suggesting that Mowbray will go with Travis Johnson and Davenport, Rothwell bench. That wouldn't surprise me if he did that, Michael, actually, if he's going to match up with Middlesbrough and that really solid three that they've got. Travis Johnson and Davenport would also be a solid three in central midfield as well. But I do like Joe Rothwell in the side. He can carry that ball forward and get us on the front foot, particularly if we are going to have more of the possession today. So hopefully Rothwell does play. Joe and I both had Rothwell in our side. So then, Luke, we're going to come on to your team. And this is going to take us nicely into the next section after that. When it decides it wants to load. There we go. So talk to us about your side. And I think you're going to focus on Jacob Davenport first, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. And I think my team's exactly the same as what Daniel Davis has just put there in the comments. I think this is a game that's crying out for Jacob Davenport. I've got Lewis Travis in there as well for the tenacity, the energy. I think this game's won and lost in midfield. Exactly what Alex said. When you look at that midfield three of Middlesbrough, that is a very, very solid Championship midfield. With Sam Morsey, like you say, real thorn in our side. So it's got to be won and lost today in there. And I think, alluding to Jacob Davenport, just talk about him a little bit more now. I think he's been really unfortunate. He's only played just over 230 minutes for Rovers. He's actually just had the one start. And every single time we've seen him in a Blackburn Rovers shirt, he's not put a foot wrong, really. And it's quite perplexing, actually, because when you look at Jacob Davenport and you look at his career and him coming through the ranks at City, it was so highly talked about, by Pep Guardiola, and that's a huge credit to him. That's the single most thing that any footballer could ever want. Any compliment that a footballer could want is for Pep Guardiola to potentially have used the heir to the throne of Fernandinho, and he was was on that trajectory. There's no doubt about it. Injuries hampered him, and actually, I think when we've had this trouble with left back and a left-footed centre half, I know Height's not on his side, but he actually played and was quite happy to play at left back and centre back in his early career. So it's quite interesting that he didn't fill in when we were crying out for that sort of player earlier on, and obviously Johnson's been sitting in there, so that is an interesting one in itself. But yeah, Davenport, I think he gives you reliability, gives you persistence, tenacity. He does the things that most footballers find trouble in doing. Most footballers don't want to do the dirty work as such, and you often find that you're compromised on footballing ability with the players that usually do that job. You don't get that with Jacob Davenport. He's a very capable footballer, a very hard-working footballer, a very technically gifted footballer. Certainly saw that in his season with Burton. It was phenomenal, fundamental to everything that they did, and obviously we signed him on the back of that in 2018. So we know exactly that he's a capable Championship footballer. He's shown that even at a younger age, and he's been on the brink of, like I say, on Man City side. He's come through the ranks with the likes of Brahim Diaz and Tosin Adebayo, and they're both playing at quite a high level now in the Premier League and respectively in Serie A as well. So he's a talented footballer, and he absolutely deserves a chance at this stage. And I think he's done enough now for Mowbray to put him in there, and this is the perfect game for Jacob Davenport. I'm convinced.
Absolutely, and we've got a bit of a focus on Davenport, which we'll come on to in a moment, but lots of comments have come in response to the three sides and some interesting points as well. So I'll just rattle through all of these now. Callum's absolutely on one today. Who do you think would win in a fight, Mowbray or Warnock? So Rovers fans, let us know in the comments who you think would win in a fight. I'm backing our man Tony Mowbray in a fight between them two.
I don't know. I think Mowbray's nose would be quite vulnerable, I think, in a punch-up.
Chris Hayes, Morsey versus Dak could be interesting. Yeah, Chris, that's why I left Dak out of my side. I think if there's any doubt about his fitness, then today's the day where he's getting one through the back of him or whatever. So that's part of what played into my thoughts about leaving him out as well. Leap year man, we've struggled this season against five at the back. Assombalonga loves scoring against us too. Yes, he does. And when I spoke to Stephen yesterday on the other side about five at the back, they certainly had some good joy with that at Ewood Park as well. And Stephen remembers that, and they might well use that as a tactic against us. So Tavernier on that left wing back side to push Nyambi back so that he can't get forward. That would certainly stunt Rovers going forward. So I can see Tavernier and who was the other right back? Dykesdale, wasn't it? Getting forward a lot. Then we've got Gary H. Down in a great shout. We need experience in midfield until Travis is fully fit. Callum Robinson would play in a five in midfield, not work out better outnumber them in that area of the pitch, take control of the game. Yeah, I can see some logic in that, but I think that the 4-3-3 is what Mowbray's going to go for, Callum. Alton Penkridge, Dak and Trav not working, too big a risk. Leap Year Man, Travis will start, but wouldn't be unhappy to have Dak on the bench to impact the game later on. Gaz Israel, I'd like to see Brereton playing up top with Armstrong, maybe have Elliott dropping into the pockets of spaces. El Scotty, I agree with leaving out Dak and Trav, bring them on later if needed. I think Davenport should start, and I would start with him, start him with Holtby and Rothwell, sorry. Daniel, agreeing with your side, Luke. Callum, I think we need to shake up the front three somehow. They look burnt out as a trio. Leap Year Man, Davenport and Trav complemented each other against Birmingham. Andy, really good point this. I remember this as well. Dolan and Elliott were physically dominated. And yeah, definitely that'll be in his mind today. And had Gallagher been 100% fit, I think we probably might have seen him on the team sheet. But I think Gallagher's a doubt, so we won't. But that's certainly a valid point. And that's why I went for Bradley Johnson in my side as well. Then any other comments? No, there we go. So we're going to move on to a focus on Jacob Davenport in the final 7 minutes or so before the team news lands. And then you can all laugh at me as I try and string a banner across the bottom, which has got the team news. We'll watch that one fall on its backside as I try and do it. So here's some stats that we've got about Jacob Davenport. So this all relates to Rovers players who have made a minimum of 5 appearances. You can see he's second overall in interceptions per 90 minutes, first in tackles per 90 minutes. I need to take Andy Watson's comment off so I can see the other ones. Key passes per 90 minutes, he's 8th, and then 1.9 clearances per 90 of 6. So, Alex, that's suggesting that Davenport, even in the limited appearances that he's made, you know, particularly defensively and that steal in that midfield area, he's quite an important player, isn't he?
I think it kind of echoes what Luke was saying about every time he's filled in, he seems to have slotted into the team and played as well, if not better than what we've already got. And when you look at those stats, that is undoubtedly the case, isn't it? Even though it's a very small sample size. I look back and think when he came in, back in the summer after League One, him and Joe Rothwell were signed within days of each other, I think, if I remember correctly. And you just look at the difference between the progress of the two players since then. You know, Rothwell's had a lot more involvement in the first team, you know, due to a bit more luck with injuries. And you look at the player he is now and how integral he is to everything that we're doing. You know, you just look back and think, well, if Davenport hadn't have had so many injuries, you know, how good would he be right now? And that's quite sad, to be honest with you, because I think whenever he has played and got involved in the team, he's certainly delivered the goods, and I think that's why I've put him in my team. Do I think Mowbray will play him today? To be honest, I don't think he will. I've just answered Ollie James' question without looking at it, which was really good of me. You know, just thought it up in my brain. But do I think he'll start Davenport? No. I think Mowbray's living and dying by his decision to play Travis and to try and get Travis match fit on the job. I think Travis has admitted himself on social media that he's not playing anywhere near as well as he can. And yeah, that probably is due to just a lack of match fitness. But, you know, my response to that would be, well, you've got a ready-made player on the bench ready to come in and play who's done well when he has played. And you're leaving him out for a player that isn't playing up to the standards that they previously have set. So I think it does leave a lot of questions there with regards to Mowbray's decision-making with the team selection. But yeah, as I say, Davenport would get in my team because ultimately he will only fulfill his potential by playing minutes. You know, how many young players do you see in the Premier League and they're billed still as young players when they're 28? And the reason they're billed as young players when they're 28 is because they've barely played any football and they never make progress and they never fulfill their potential. And I just really don't want that to be the case with this lad, because I think he does have the potential if he's played and if he stays injury-free. So that's just what I hope for him for the rest of this season. And with our luck, he'd probably leave at the end of his contract for nothing after having a good last season of his contract. But yeah, yeah, let's see if he gets in the team today. I hope he does. Do I think he will? Probably not. But yeah, I want to see more of him this season.
I think I tend to agree with you, Alex. I think if this was a different game today, then Davenport absolutely would have started. But I think you've picked out some key things there. He has been talking up Travis in the press. He's spoken about the fact that he's the one that might be a future captain. He's the one that can drive the team. And he said it this week, didn't he, about getting him the minutes on the job, as you've said there. So I think that's probably suggesting that Travis is going to start. I think Bradley Johnson's going to start in midfield over Davenport because of the steel that Middlesbrough have got in that area and the threat that the likes of Fry and McNair, might be from set pieces or whatever. I think he's going to have Bradley Johnson in the side. And that goes back to Andy Watson's point about the physicality. If we've got no Sam Gallagher today, then he needs Bradley Johnson on that pitch to do his bit defensively as well. But absolutely, I think Jacob Davenport should be started. The Brentford game is the one that stands out. But actually, that Stoke game last time out as well, Davenport was demanding that ball all the time when it was going back into our half, and then we were trying to start the next attack, particularly when Stoke went down to 10 men. He was the one in that centre mid area saying, give me the ball, I want it, I'll start the attack. And that's what I love to see. Absolutely love to see that, particularly in a young player, to go and just want to boss that midfield in that way. And they're all the qualities that we've been lauding Lewis Travis about, haven't we? That's what you associate with Travis, that he's going to boss an area in that way. So I really do hope that Davenport does start. He deserves it. I think the stats back it up now. I think there's a lot of agreement in the fan base, but I don't think he will. And we'll find out in a couple of minutes. Rovers fans, let us know if you think Davenport will start and whether you think he should start as well. I don't think he will start, but I think he should start. Luke, you can have the final say before the team news lands. Do you think he will start?
Now you're asking me $1 million question, because I really want him. And I want him to start for reasons that we've all said. I mean, yes, he doesn't give you the steel as such, but he certainly gives you the tenacity and the hard work, and he covers a lot of ground. So in that respect, he will put a foot in. He will put his body on the line for Rovers. And he's a ball-winning midfielder, so he can certainly do a job in that respect. And like I say, he doesn't compromise then on the technical aspect of it, and the ability to maybe pick a pass and open up Middlesbrough and get us on the attack and get the likes of Brereton and Elliott and Armstrong, in attacking positions and get some chances there. Not saying that Bradley Johnson's not a technically gifted footballer; he's a very talented footballer, but I always like maybe to have a Lewis Holtby in there to get us on the attack and be that link up. Clearly, Lewis Holtby is not the ball-winning midfielder type. He's certainly not the one that's going to put his body on the line. So I think Davenport's the perfect player. And like Alex said, yes, he's not had the same trajectory. He's not had the same progress as Joe Rothwell. But my honest opinion is that, given how talented a footballer he is, given his youth progress and the sort of managers that were talking about him so highly and how highly rated he was, I honestly think that Jacob Davenport wouldn't be a Blackburn Rovers player if he'd not been hampered with injuries. He's a very talented footballer, and he's clearly got a determination to make it at the very top level. So I hope he does that.
Well, I've just seen the team news and we've got a nice broad smile on our face. And I swear I saw someone in the comments predict the midfield. It could have been someone like Michael Pearson or Alex. Let us know who you were. It is a midfield three of Travis, Johnson and Davenport. So we've talked Davenport up and he gets his start. So we are buzzing. So Alex, as I attempt to run a ticker along the bottom of this stream, can you just talk to me about that side, probably for about a minute or so, just whilst I get that ticker running?
I think I looked at the side, and I think obviously the front three and the back four we were all agreed on, and there were no nasty surprises there. So that's, 8 players just off the bat that we all pretty much agree with, I think, it's safe to say. And then when you look at the midfield three, I'm slightly worried about the balance of it. Johnson, Travis and Davenport, to me, it doesn't scream of, being particularly adventurous in the game. it screams to me of trying to stay in the game for a long time and maybe trying to get a goal in the second half. And I'll be honest with you, I don't think, I know, Ryan, you had Bradley Johnson in your team, but I just can't seem to agree with him at the minute with the way he's been playing in this form. I just think he's been slightly off form recently, which for a player that won Player of the Month way back at the start of the season, I think he's kind of dropped off those standards and he wouldn't have made my team today. So yeah, it's not a particularly concerning team. We've gone back to the 4-3-3, which is good. It shows that the manager's recognised his mistake from last week, which again is a good thing. But yeah, maybe the midfield to me doesn't seem to have that balance that we'd prefer. But yeah, nonetheless, it's sort of understandable in a game like this.
And Leap Year Man picked up on this just before the team news landed. Physicality is important, but we can't leave out technicians if we want to play our attacking style. And I think the thing that I've always just had little niggles about Tony Mowbray with in his whole time at Rovers, actually, and this included in League One as well, I do think we respect the opposition way too much. And he's gone for that midfield today because of the midfield three of Middlesbrough. Travis, Johnson, Davenport, he's matching them up, isn't he? And Luke, how do you feel about the fact that, there isn't a Rothwell, there isn't a Holtby, there isn't that someone to go and drive forward?
I'm actually sort of toying with the idea that, 𝐂𝐄𝐓's come up with of the box. It'd been interesting to see if Joe was on the pre-match with us today, what he thought about that, the personnel in there, because arguably we've all said it, Rothwell's not had his best appearances in the Rovers shirt when he's been put out on the left wing. Perhaps we could see him in the box in behind Elliott and Armstrong, perhaps with Davenport maybe alongside him. As someone said, we lack a creative midfielder. I'd actually argue that Jacob Davenport gives us that creativity if he has a little bit more freedom, given that we've got Travis and Johnson in that midfield. I'm happy that we're going back to sort of the 4-3-3, perhaps with the option of the box. Like Alex says, it's you look back at that last game and really, really abject. I think a great description there, lovely word for it, really, unfortunately. So to go back to that and hopefully see Rovers at our best, perhaps. You just hope that we get out of that midfield what we're hoping for based on what we've got on paper, and we get the the grit, the steel, the strength, the physicality, and it doesn't have a negative effect on our attacking play. That's the main thing. Like I say, game won and lost maybe in the midfield three, but it's also going to be interesting. I haven't seen the Middlesbrough team to see if they have gone with that back five and how Douglas and Nyambe will match up there as well.
I'll have a look at the Middlesbrough side as Alex is talking in a moment. But Alex, just scrolling the substitutes along the bottom there. No Lewis Holtby at all. So he's not made the match day squad. But we've spoken about lack of plan B and other types of stuff on the stream today and on previous streams. Gallagher has made it. Ben Brereton's on the bench. Tyrese Dolan's on the bench. Bradley Dack's on the bench. Like we saw against Birmingham, for example, if we do need to go and change it up, maybe we have got some options today to go and get a result off the bench.
With Holtby, I think it's a funny one. I think possibly his best performance was the Preston game. I think since then his performances have really dropped off, and for some reason, there seems to be a bit of something going on behind the scenes for me. Him not being involved in the squads. I think it's more than once now where he's missed out, which to me is a bit of a concern. But you do look at the bench, and undoubtedly there is some power there. Brereton, Dolan, Gallagher, Dack, Downing, Tribal, even Buckley to an extent. So yeah, there's certainly a lot on that bench. What I would be concerned about is there really being no kind of central defensive reinforcements, and that's possibly the second reason I would have had Bradley Johnson on the bench today. Is that if Bradley Johnson gets injured and picks up a yellow card, and then has to go into the back four due to an injury, I think that could leave us really in a bit of bother. So yeah, that's one of the reasons I wouldn't have had Johnson on the starting 11 today. But yeah, undoubtedly the squad is strong. The squad's stronger than it has been in previous seasons. I think we've spoken about that so many times, that really the squad as a whole, quality-wise, is much higher than previous years. And as a result of that, the performances and the results have been pretty disappointing all over the piece. I don't think we can deflect from that. So, yeah, concerning about Holtby, I don't really know what's going on there. I'd like to maybe see what other people's opinions are on it. But, yeah, seems quite odd, that.
Yeah, and I'll pick up everyone's comments and reaction to the team news in a moment. But the Middlesbrough side, one change for them. Dijksteel isn't in the side at right wing back. And looking at the replies, apparently there's some rumours about a transfer to Fulham, possibly. So he's not in the matchday squad at all, Dijksteel. They've got Jed Spence at right wing back and not Dijksteel. But it is the side that we saw earlier on. That 5-3-2 formation, it appears to be, but we'll wait and see what Sky Sports pop on a bit later on. But yeah, just the one change for them, Spence over Dijksteel. Just picking up people's comments and instant reaction to the team news. Callum Robinson, we have no creative midfielder. Certainly if it is that 4-3-3 formation, Callum, and Rothwell's not in there, then I can see that. But if it is the box, then maybe we have got a bit more creativity if Rothwell and Elliott in particular are behind Armstrong. T. Mason, Rothwell over Ben Brereton in the front three. So yeah, I was quite surprised not to see Brereton start, but good option off the bench. Michael, it was you that got the trio of midfielders right, so well done to you. I knew it was someone like you, so well done. Gaz Israel, solid midfield three, but a lack of creativity. Dizzy Thumbs, has the midfield three even been picked together? I don't think so. I'm not sure. I don't think they have. Leap Year Man, agreed, Alex. The balance doesn't look right without a Holtby or Rothwell type in there. Stephen Mason, I think Rothwell is playing in a number 10 role. Alexander Haben would have liked to have seen Downing start. Leap Year Man, diamond midfield with Rothwell at the tip sounds better, but can't see Elliott playing as out-and-out striker. It looks like Callum, it looks like he's going for mobility and dynamism in midfield to try and outwork Warnock. T. Mason, ignore attack to start with, not conceding first is number one priority in this match. Absolutely, absolutely. We have got to score the first goal today, I think, to get any kind of result. If we go back to those stats that we brought up about Middlesbrough earlier and the amount of goals they concede at home, you know, this game becomes locked down if we concede the first goal. So critical that we don't concede it first. Chris Hayes, yeah, this is what I was talking about earlier. Always feels like we're trying to counteract the opposition rather than focus on how to play our way. That's niggles that I've got about Mowbray and how he does manage our side sometimes. John Browning, Brereton should be starting. Ethan James, love Rothwell in the middle, but the amount of times Rovers have been overpowered in the midfield is worrying. I do think Travis and Davenport are underrated driving forward. Yeah, Luke referenced it about Davenport, and certainly Travis has got that in his locker as well. Both of them can get forward if they need to, so it'd be interesting to see how they do, particularly if Johnson is the one that might just sit. Leap Year Man, options on the bench, absolutely. Then Michael Pearson, Holtby is a strange one, picked, not picked. Yeah, he's a bit in and out at the moment, so don't know what's going on there. Hopefully that doesn't relate to contractual situations or whatever. Daniel Davis, happy. I'm going to assume that that's Dak isn't starting, means Mowbray isn't basing the team around him. Alexander Haben, our defence needs the extra protection, to be fair, yeah. Ethan James, Rothwell can still drop into the middle, more because Douglas loves to overlap and go further forward, keeping the width. Kieran Kiffin looks like a back-to-back basic team, trying to be solid, not creative. Andy, think it reminds me of Liverpool 4-3-3, three solid players and allowing the spark from front three plus fullbacks. Also, Travenport could be interesting being allowed
what
to roam.
Spark?
Well, Andy,
they couldn't beat our noisy neighbours yesterday. I'm not sure about Spark.
Yeah, they are certainly struggling a little bit at the moment. But the Liverpool that have dominated, last season in particular, I think we know the point Andy's tried to make there.
I'm only joking, Andy. I'm only joking.
So, and then Alexander, if we go a goal down, we are in big trouble. So the final few minutes or so, Rovers fans, please do let us know what your score predictions are. Now we have seen the team and we have chewed over the fat of this game and Middlesbrough's home form. I can see that Ollie has come in with the first prediction, so I will start with him and wait for everyone else to comment as well. Alex, your score prediction. I'm coming to you first. Come on.
Oh, I'm sorry to say 1-0 Middlesbrough. I think the team... I look at that team and I think it's a team that probably won't concede many goals today. Don't hold me to that in the post-match stream. Won't concede many today, but I feel like we're not in that position to create a massive chance in that first 15 to 20 minutes. And I think the longer the game goes on at 0-0, I just have that sense that Borough will get the goal. And hence I'm going with a 1-0 Borough win. I really hope it isn't. I really hope that we can get that first goal and, assert ourselves on the match. But I just think the way we've been playing lately and Borough's home form, I just can't really see anything else, I'm afraid.
You just picked up the comment there.
Yeah, and if we listen to my predictions, we'd be relegated, maybe. I don't know. I'd like to actually collate my points total from all of the games. That would be interesting, but yeah.
In your defence, Alex, I always remember Mark Lawrenson on those bloody BBC predictions. I think he had Liverpool, who were unbeaten for 3 years solid or something like that. And that was not even in their good times. That was like, when they were wobbling between some eras. So
sounds just like Luke.
In your defence, Alex, we have to lose some games. We have to draw some games. So I'm sure you're not far off where Rovers actually are in the division with your predictions. Luke, I'm going to come to you for your prediction.
Interested having seen the team. Like you said earlier, I think any one of them can do a job holding. All of them are decent footballers. So I think what we could see today is a bit of fluidity in the midfield three. I'd like to see that rather than just a static midfield, because I think that has been our downfall recently. There's no doubt that they're going to be a tough side. I take some heart in the fact the most recent home defeat was actually the last game. So hopefully they bring a little bit of that into this game as well. Obviously, Sky have picked it as a fixture, so no doubt it is going to be a 0-0 draw. And it's going to be a shocker. But I think given what the game means today, given the fact that we're now going into our second game with Branthwaite in there and a solid back four, a consistent back four, given the fact that Mowbray's seen that the game's going to be won in that midfield three, I believe, by picking the players that he's picked, I would like to hope that we can, like you say, keep it stable, keep it tight, don't concede an early goal, maybe get a goal and take it on and maybe get a positive result. I'm torn a little bit between 1-1 and 2-1. 2-1 Rovers, that'd be. I think if we do get the first goal, I think we go on to nick it. I actually think that it's probably optimistic going 2-1, because I think that is a high-scoring game for Middlesbrough against Blackburn Rovers. So roll on the post stream when it's going to be 4-1 or something. But I'm gonna stay positive with this one. Let's do it in front of the Sky cameras and let's get back on form and take a 2-1 win home. Let's go with that.
Good. I like it, Luke. I do like to allow my heart to rule my predictions. I'm afraid I'm going to have to go with my head today. There's just too many things bothering me. Middlesbrough's home form, our recent form, the side which has gone to try and maybe match them in midfield rather than try and beat them with our game today. So I'm letting my head rule me today, which I'm disappointed about. the Sky record thrown in there as well. You know, I'm saying 1-0 Middlesbrough, and I don't want to do that. I would love nothing more than a Rovers win, of course, and I want it to happen. But 1-0 Middlesbrough is what I can see, and it wouldn't surprise me if that goal was early on as well. If Middlesbrough came out to blitz us a little bit, get the early goal, and then lock the game down. So I want to be more positive, but it's just it's a shocker of a game to go and get a result with today with our recent form. And I'm letting my head rule me. I think you were coming in there, Luke, to shoot me down.
No. I think you're right, Rio. I think a lot of the comments are saying you'd be happy to take a draw. You know full well that if we get a draw, that, you know, there'll be whispers and all sorts of comments maybe from Rovers fans far and wide that it's a bad result, etc., on the back of a draw. But I think if we're all being honest, if we take a point away from the Riverside, given their home form and given how important we just need to get something from this game, we've got to be happy with that. But yeah, it's going to be a difficult game. It's going to be a real difficult game.
It will be for sure. So I will rattle through everyone's predictions before we close off the stream. And as I say, Ollie James was the first in, and I would love you to be in the Hall of Fame with this, Ollie. I really would. So his prediction yesterday on the other side was 2-2, Nyambe and 𝐂𝐿𝐃. I didn't pick up on Nyambe yesterday. I was too focused on 𝐂𝐿𝐃. But if that happens, then yeah, you are replacing Luke in the Hall of Fame. So.
I don't even know if it'd be above and beyond the Hall of Fame. It'd need something on its own. Nyambe alone, but 𝐂𝐿𝐃, come on.
That'd be brilliant.
That's 4 goals at the Riverside as well.
Jack Hamer has gone 1-1. Dizzy Thumbs has gone 1-1. T Mason has gone 1-1 or 1-0 loss. John Browning, Rovers 2-1. Good on you, John. You're a better man than I am. El Scotty 1-0 Borough. Scott Taylor 3-0 Borough. Oh no. Ethan James 2-1 Borough will be chasing the game. Alexander Haben, hopefully a 1-0 or 2-1 Rovers win. Good on you, Alex. We need a positive result today to spark us. Michael Pearson saying a 2-1 Rovers win. Good on you as well, Michael. Leap Year Man, we won't keep a clean sheet, but trying to be positive. A battling 2-1 to Rovers. Good on you as well, Leap Year Man. 1-0 Borough, Gary H. 2-0 Rovers, Callum. Well done to you, Callum. Chris Hayes, 2-1 Borough. I don't think it'll be bye-bye, Tony, if we lose this game, but certainly the pressure will grow. Leap Year Man could easily see a boring 0-0. Please don't say that. If we've got 2 0-0 Sky games, then that's just so unlucky on us, particularly as I paid for my Sky subscription and we're barely on it. Gaz Israel, 2-1 Rovers. Prediction aside, I do expect a far better performance at the very least. Hopefully, Gaz, hopefully. Alex Isherwood has gone 1-1, but I think we need to score first to get a result. 100%. Absolutely 100%. It will be shock of the season if we come from behind and win at the Riverside today. What else have we got? Any others? Oh, Autumn Penkridge. Here we go. TM's tactical selection versus Warnock's settled squad. Hope Tony's called it right. 2-1 Rovers. Good on you, Autumn. Daniel Davies, I'd take a draw and keep the unbeaten run in the league in 2021. Going to be tough today. Leap Year Man, we really are due a performance on Sky. I can't remember the last time we played well on TV yet. Can't take that flag down after that prediction. I feel dirty, Callum. I never usually predict us to lose, so I do feel dirty.
The dark side.
I know. Stand and stare. 2-1 Rovers. We need that first goal. I'm presuming that's a 1. Stand and stare. You've done the
exclamation mark Rovers.
Yeah, we need that first goal. We do stand and stare. Ollie James, if they offered you a draw now, would you take it? Definitely, Ollie. I absolutely would with our recent form and their home form. Alexander Haben, 1-0 Rovers Davenport. And Chris Hayes, I'd stick a point in Tony's back happily. Oh, God. So I don't think there are any other predictions. So it's about half an hour or so, 25 minutes, isn't it, until the Sky coverage starts. So enough time for everyone to get yourself a drink and relax before the game starts. Alex and Luke, thank you for joining me this afternoon. You're back post-match with me a bit later on as well, aren't you?
Yeah, so you can all insult me when I get it badly wrong.
Well, I'm with you, aren't I? I predicted a 1-0 loss as well, so at least you'll have company.
Yeah, we'll have company and we'll be insulted together in the post match. But yeah, I just hopefully it's a good game. I think as we've alluded to, we've flattered to deceive lately, and I just want to see a performance today. I just want to see that the players are on side, that they play and give a good performance. That's all I want.
Absolutely. I want nothing more than to be proved wrong today. I really do. And I want egg on my face. I want abuse in the comments later on when I'm wrong. Honestly, I want nothing more than that. So I go on record saying that. So I've let my head rule my heart, so you can shoot me down later on. Luke, you're back later as well, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Here for celebration or therapy at full time. So everybody come and join us. I'm sure we'll take the game to pieces, and we'll be talking about a famous Blackburn Rovers win in front of the Sky cameras for the first time at the Riverside in 13 and a half years.
Excellent. I like it. And you're right. Win, lose or draw, we'll be back post-match. We'll do it in the right way. We'll unpick it in the detail as required, and we'll see where it's gone right, wrong, or whatever a bit later on. So Rovers fans, thank you for joining us this afternoon and giving up your Sunday afternoon. We really appreciate everyone's support and loads of great comments today, and good to see some new faces in there as well, new names. So please tell all of your Rovers fan mates about Rovers Chat and what we do on this stream. We love doing it, particularly whilst we're all in lockdown. So yeah, if you're not subscribed to our channel, it is Rovers Chat on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button. If you're not following us on Twitter, it is Rovers_chat on Twitter. We will be back probably about 5:15 later on, depending on how much stoppage time there is. So look out for the Rovers Chat site to see when we're live. But yeah, plan for 5:15. And we should be there and ready. And we'll have Ollie Hayworth with us as well from the 1875 podcast. And we will leave you, as we usually do, with our sponsor message from 6yards.out.com. See you all later.
Come on, you Blues.
Hooray.
The Rovers Chat YouTube channel is proudly sponsored by 6yards.out.com. They've got retro football from every era with mugs, phone cases and much more. They also have plenty of Rovers goods, including apparel with the famous 94-95 season and this season's kit. Check them out using the link in the description below.